GMO history and controversy in India from introduction to today. At the time of India's independence, it had a primarily agricultural economy, with just over 50% of GDP from agriculture and 75% of the entire labor force involved in agriculture. The agricultural sector grew approximately 1% per year. Since then, it has grown about 2.5% per year, and today the sector only accounts for 18% of total GDP, though 60% of the labor force are still employed in agriculture. This tells us that total GDP has grown much more quickly than the agricultural sector alone. This is due to several phases of changing policy. In the 1960s to 80s, this included land reform, development of financial institutions, strengthening rural credit cooperatives, and improvement of irrigation. By the mid-80s, enough production should have been occurring to guarantee India's food security. The next decade saw much focus on diversification into commodities such as milk, meats, fish, and cheeses, and also a much improved support system for farmers. Still, there were concerns of a lack of proper infrastructure for distribution and possible corruption. The GMO problem truly began in the 90s with the forced deregulation, liberalization, and reduction in government and oversight by Monsanto, lobbying through the World Bank for a 1988 policy to put pressure on India to do so. This allowed Monsanto to begin illegally selling Bt cotton in India in 1991 to 1996. Though they were soon caught, this forced a Supreme Court battle, pushing approval of this GMO Bt cotton to 2002. Still, Monsanto had already latched onto the market from its previous illegal selling, and many farmers who had bought the seed previously were forced to continue to do so due to claims of illegal hybridization using this Bt cotton. Once Monsanto re-entered the market, it quickly cornered all sales, using its control over the market to expand its seed monopsony into a monopoly. Many previously successful farmers became impoverished due to the high repeated costs of seed, at 8,000% the cost of all other seeds. Also forced to buy previously unneeded pesticides and fertilizers, for many farmers the cost became too high and they entered an unending cycle of debt. To get out, an increasing number committed suicide. So how did this all happen? First, cotton had to be grown as a monoculture in Bt cotton form, and thus more was bought to cover an area. Monsanto also initially locked many Indian companies into joint ventures by promising much high profits, and thus gained control of 95% of the market. Also, fields could no longer be naturally pollinated for fear of violating patent rights. And, because their seeds were patented, many farmers could not reuse these seeds as they had previously done. Thus, Monsanto wiggled its way around many loopholes in laws to accomplish creating a seed monopoly. This monopoly destroyed many seed alternatives, created super profits from immense royalties at the expense of the farmers, encouraged growing of very vulnerable monocultures, vulnerable due to almost zero biodiversity and lack of soil nutrients, at the expense all of the increasingly impoverished farmers. As more time passed and Monsanto came to control more than 95% of the seed market, more farmers fell into the debt trap of ever-increasing costs and debt. The once lush cotton belt became known as the suicide belt of India, as close to 20,000 farmers committed suicide annually to escape debt. In fact, this association was so strong that the Parliamentary Committee recommended to the Supreme Court of India to institute a 10-year moratorium on all GM seeds. However, this is unlikely to occur because of how powerful Monsanto is economically. Nor is this an isolated issue. Similar problems are occurring all over the world, in places like the US, Canada, Brazil, and France, which are all currently seeing court cases against Monsanto linked to farmer suicide and carcinogenic compound use in fertilizers and pesticides.
Created using Powtoon.